We are where spirit meets story, truth and mystery with your host, Dr. Douglas James Cottrell. We are journeying together through the deeper meanings behind today's world events, ancient wisdom, and the quiet whispers of the divine. We're going to reflect, remember, and reconnect. If this is your first time with us, welcome to the family. Make sure to follow us and ring that bell, check those checks, and click on that link to subscribe wherever you're watching and listening from wherever you are in the world. This show isn't just a broadcast. It's a broadcast with intention, with spirit, and with love. Now, here is Douglas.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be with you. It's May already, and there is a lot going on in this first week of May. There's much activity in New York City. There's a lot of activity in the Middle East. There are people who don't seem to know what they're doing. And as we move through this scenario of uncertainty and chaos, I decided to call the show tonight Where the Cookie Crumbles, the Fallout of Conflict. My heart goes out to everyone in places where there's uncertainty, where there's warfare, where there's combat, where there's fear, where children are being robbed of their childhood, and people don't seem to care. I spoke to someone yesterday about their relatives in Iran, and I asked, how are they doing it? And they mentioned to me that since they've had this kind of warfare for 24 years, they're coping. And that hit me. This is normal. Conflict is normal. This kind of uncertainty is normal. Well, let's look at the human spirit. It's coping. They're in a circumstance, they can't get out of it. They have to endure, they have to survive, and so they cope. But it's a different lifestyle than what we're doing or living here in the West. But certainly we are worried as much as they are. I'm your host, Dr. Douglas James Cottrell, and tonight, Where the Cookie Crumbles, it's not about the blame game. No matter how things begin, no matter who says what, no matter what justifications are given, in the end, the consequences fall somewhere. And more often, these consequences fall on us, the ordinary people. Tonight is not about pointing fingers. It's not about who started what. It's not about taking sides, because where most people sit, you and I, that's not what matters. What is it that matters to you, my friend? How do we cope? How do we endure? How do we live? When the world feels uncertain, we lose our peace, our security, our expectation that we're going to survive tomorrow, and that tomorrow is going to be very similar to today. Change endures, and we don't really understand about change. We live in an illusion of today, of the present, that what we are experiencing right now is going to carry on tomorrow, and if not forever. It's an ideal. It's something that the spiritually illuminated person or awakening person begins to realize, that you have no guarantee for tomorrow. You have absolutely no guarantee that you're going to exist tomorrow, that you're going to wake up, and that tomorrow is going to be a continuation of today. That's the illusion. We trick ourselves, we fool ourselves, we become complacent, we become asleep as we move through our life every day. We're surprised by difficulties that happen. The car breaks down. The child misses the school bus to go to school. We run out of groceries. We cut our finger. The ordinary things about life. But as we go through this time right now, gas prices are rising. Costs everywhere are increasing. And supply chains are tightening. That's scary, because we don't know. We can't count on what's going to happen tomorrow, because we're worried today, because the information we had yesterday and today is making our judgment something of the dark side, something negative. But while these statements are being made, and while assurances may be given by our leaders, You can't change somebody's mind, for everyone has mental reservations, and people are left wondering, what is going to affect me, what my family, my future, what's going to happen tomorrow? We can look the other way when we're further away from conflict, but as the situation in the Middle East, that is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion, and in the opinion of all good people who seek peace. Why can't the leadership of those countries that are in conflict, sit down and talk? What's all this macho stuff about bombing and bombing people out of existence? My army's bigger than your army. This is when the immaturity of our leadership shows. And it's serious because people's lives are affected. A whim, a comment, something said in jest or thoughtlessness, and people can be affected greatly. As we move forward in this time, we have to understand that from a spiritual perspective, we will endure. We always have, we the ordinary people. We suffer the most because the consequences are felt from the bottom up. The policies are discussed from the top down. But at the bottom, we have to endure. We don't give up. We complain. We attempt to find solutions to our everyday problems, but we endure. The spiritually minded person adds to this the understanding that everything is in order. The consequences, the circumstances, the actions taken, these are all provided by or with or for the existence in the divine. Now I know that's a big step. How can chaos and how can difficulty and how can misunderstandings, even pain and suffering be part of the plan? Well, it is. Pain wakes us up. Pleasure puts us to sleep. As we move forward in our lives, we have to come to some resolve, or we give up. And those that are weak-minded people, those that are not as strong as others, they do give up. They turn to artificial pleasure, drugs and alcohol. They turn away from life. They give up. And willy-nilly, they live their life on the street. Someone once said these are the most successful people in the world, and I was astounded with that. I said, what does that mean? Well, that person made every decision incorrectly. All they had to do was to make every decision the other way, and they would be a very successful person. In fact, where they are now is where they wanted to be. So I was dumbfounded by that, gobsmacked, you might say, but it led me to thinking. That's the consequence. People are weak. People aren't wise. People suffer. Some people are stronger. Some people are weaker. But the spiritually minded person is reinforced with their spiritual belief. Again, policies might be set at the top, but the consequences are felt at the bottom, the grassroots level. The ordinary person's burden, like the farmer, the worker, the small business owner, the parent trying to make ends meet. They are not in the decision rooms. They do not make the discussions about policies that are going to affect them, but they have to, and they do, live with the results. We live with the results. And what creates something deeper than inconvenience? It's stress, uncertainty, and sometimes fear. This is where the cookie crumbles. And where does it crumble? In household budgets, in grocery bills, in fuel costs. In quiet worries people don't always speak about aloud. Think of this. The true cost of conflict is not measured only in headlines, but in everyday life. People are told by our leaders, things will improve, prices will stabilize. This is only temporary. Sometimes that's not true. Sometimes it is. But what people really want to know, what people feel, is a lack of control. They want to be in control. They want to know that they can count on tomorrow. And when they can't, that's where stress comes from. Let's take a step back. Just think of this, my friends, and I'd like to hear your comments in the chat. What if, just for a moment, both sides of the conflict stepped away from escalation? What if communication increased, pressure decreased, and negotiation replaced reaction? Historically, many conflicts have escalated, reached a tipping point, and then moved towards negotiation. All that time, people were suffering. All that time was wasted. It provided no benefit, no profit. Think of this: the same tension that brings conflict can also bring resolution if it's used wisely. In a cooperative scenario, military pressures stabilize, trade routes reopen, markets are calmed, and confidence returns. Not instantly, but gradually. Because stability doesn't come from force alone, it comes from agreement. Trust and verify the agreement, and peace returns. As we continue to look forward through this time, we are going to survive, my friends. It's going to take things that we haven't perceived or know about just now. I'd like you to put your comments and questions in the chat. My co-host Sybil is standing by, watching the chat. So feel free to send in your thoughts, your concerns, and your questions. Welcome to the show tonight. How are you doing, Sybil?
Well, may the 4th be with you and our audience. It is Star Wars Day. And hey, Douglas, did you know about the Met Gala going on in New York tonight?
What's
It's
that
like,
all about?
well, it's the celebrities have basically a costume party, and apparently their theme is fashion is art. And so to me, it's kind of like where the celebrities have their own Halloween, but they get all dressed up in costume for the Met Gala.
Okay.
Yes.
Those costumes are a little more expensive than
Yes.
ordinary. Thousands of dollars. I understand that that's where the top designers of the world come and display them at the Scala. Is that what goes on here? I mean, it's got to be big.
Yes. And I find, you know what, it's very creative. So you definitely do see the designer's creativity. So it is interesting, but yes, a lot of money.
Well, anything that goes on in New York is always big money. That's for sure.
Yes.
So, okay, well, I wonder if anybody's dressed up in their Star Wars outfits. I wonder if those units, those people that dress up in real authentic costumes are going to be there. I don't think so. But wherever they are, may the force be with them too. May the force be with them more exactly. So, as we
Yes.
move forward on tonight's show, it's nice to be able to see that the world carries on. I mean, this gala in New York is world class. It is huge. Celebrities, of course, the egos are probably as big as their reputations, but it's a place to be if you're in that world.
Yeah.
Conversely, there's everybody else worrying about what the grocery bill is going to be next week. How much bologna am I going to have to get? How much spaghetti am I going to have to? How many meals of spaghetti will I have to give my children? Will I get a bicycle to go to work, or do I have to take the public transportation because I certainly can't take the car? We're on our way to $5 gasolina gallons in the U.S. $5 per gallon in the U.S. It's at 450 plus tonight. And the way gold went down $100 today, gold, I think it was more than $2 today that gasoline went or oil went up. And I'm not a commodities guy, so please don't quote me, my friends. But it was huge tonight, and the number that is already being invented is $5. So for
Wow.
our friends out there, like I have to watch my nickels and dimes. I'll be walking more than I will be driving. So we'll have to have those park in the those parties in the park rather than at the beach. But anyway, uh, my sincere congratulations to all those people that are going to be making a wonderful, wonderful time in New York City. Wish I was there. Well, not really, but anyway.
It's certainly a different world. So, yes.
Yes, I've been in New York a few times. I've been invited to some special places, and the people that we're talking about are extraordinary people for sure. Anyway, tonight where the cookie crumbles isn't in New York, that's for sure. So, are there anybody in the chat there that have asked questions or about cost rising? How are you coping? Do you see the future is uncertain? Have you had any dreams about the outcome? What's going to happen? We'd like to send in your dreams or visions. We follow that and we put things together. Let me share a simple picture before we begin tonight. It's not from the headlines, but from everyday life. Imagine a family, a working couple, two children. They're not wealthy, but they get by. They plan their week carefully, groceries, gas, bills, and a little left over, maybe. Then something changes, like what's going on now. The world changes overnight. Gas prices going through the roof. Food costs are rising uncontrollably. Unexpected expenses appear. Everything is going up in value, and we wonder why. Is it price gouging or is it something else? And suddenly, the conversation at the dinner table changes. Instead of, what are we doing this weekend? It becomes, how do we make it? How do we make this work? The parents begin to work quietly, not in a panic, but in a steady, silent way. They do cut back, they adjust, they amend, they make sacrifices. But the children may not fully understand what's going on, but they feel it. And this is where the cookie crumbles. Not in boardrooms, not in speeches, but in homes. And yet, here's the remarkable part: the family adapts, they support each other, they find ways forward. Because even when circumstances become uncertain, human resilience remains constant. Part of the grassroots movement is being resilient, and this is where it starts, in the home. Change does not always come from the top down. More often than not, it comes from the bottom up. People are adjusting, communities are supporting each other, and individuals are making wiser choices. And this is what the spiritual lesson is. Whether we know it openly or not, we're adjusting. We're making choices that are wiser. We care about each other and the reality of the day, surviving, getting by, and overcoming the uncertainties of life. This allows us to be stronger. Angels come to us when we are in need. You ever thought about that, my friends? Simple, have you ever thought about that? When you don't have it, you're not in trouble, you're not sick, you don't have any needs. Angels don't stop by. They're pretty busy. They're the messengers, right? So they're
Yes.
always coming and going between here and there, here in heaven. They only stop by when you're in need. But if you pray not to them, you don't worship angels, you ask them for assistance or help. You pray to God, God Almighty only. And so we come to these times of difficulty, these times of uncertainty, like now. And as you go through life, you'll find out there's a lot of times like now that you go through, at least once every 10 years, by humble estimation. Remember, lasting change rarely begins with power. Change comes slowly, and it begins with you and I, we, the people. Always. If the grassroots movement moves forward, that change is inevitable. Right now, we're sitting by, watching, worrying, waiting, hoping, and the powers that be are playing dice with our futures. They're playing best man wins. Who's got the biggest ego? Who's got the biggest bite? Military might. Those are all temporary things. Something was in the news well just last week, and it was one of the military advisors was quite worried that Americans had spent half of their armament and they were in need of more replacement weapons.
Wow.
What's the lesson there? Well, remember, ammunition has a finite number. And when you run out of ammunition, missiles, drones, whatever, you kind of lose the war. So I see it as a positive thing when somebody says, "Hey, we've spent all our bullets, and we might be worried. What about if somebody attacks us from the back door?" That's military thinking. They always think of all the worst case scenarios. Well, then maybe that'll push them towards peace. I know right now that
Yes.
the president is off to China. He's going to see Mr. Singh next week. Guess where Mr. Singh's oil is? That's right.
There.
It's in the Strait of Hormuz. And so I'm
Ah.
sure there's going to be some frank discussions. Give me my oil, Mr.
Mm.
Singh's going to say to Mr. T. I don't know. We're just hypothetically saying we're not looking here for what military strategy is going to be. We're looking for hope. So tonight, the heart of this message is, my friends, stay informed, but not overwhelmed. Support each other where you can. Manage what is within your control. Remember, you have control from your fingertips back. From your fingertips forward, you have no control. Avoid panic-based decisions. Count to 10. So you can endure till tomorrow. If it's the worst case scenario today, don't give up. Wait one more day. And in that one more day, an angel's going to show up. Somebody in real life is going to provide something for you, advice, direction, funds, assets. They're going to take care of you. You have to wait one more day. And if you avoid panic and you avoid decisions that are based in fear, you will make good decisions. Even if it's decisions to say go bankrupt. When somebody goes bankrupt, what do? Oh, you get rid of all your worries first. It's not a bad thing. And then
Yeah.
the next day you pick up and you start all over again. You don't say, oh my God, what I had. You say, yeah, okay, next time I'm going to have more. That's the story of Job in a good book.
And you can only go up from there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So when you're down at the bottom, you can say, well, okay, I've got a starting point. And with a little bit of humor and optimism and tenacity and perspective on you want to go somewhere, you set a goal and you'll get there. Spiritual perspective at times like this tests your patience, your resilience, your awareness, not to break you, but to strengthen you. Hard times don't just reveal weaknesses. They also reveal your strength. So do we have any questions in the chat? Or people going to let us know what they think? Why are costs rising? How do they affect you personally? What happens when you stay steady in times like this? What do you think? Let us know. Sybil, we have anybody have a question?
Yeah. Well, before we get to the questions, please hit the like button We have lots of people watching live, and it helps get the video seen by other people by hitting the like button. So please do, and we're grateful. And we do have, as a matter of fact, I also wanted to say the Met Gala did start in 1948. So it's been going for quite a while.
My whole lifetime.
Yes.
I wonder
Um,
what the fashions used to be back in those days. I have images of those dresses with great big, material on whatever they called them on the lady's backside, whatever bustle,
oh,
Brussels.
yes.
That's the word floated back into my head. The dresses were long, and the hats were likewise flamboyant.
True.
I could never figure out how people would be attractive, how women would walk, would I don't want to date myself, but it would be like those were real struggles. And I guess petticoats you'd have like about 10 on or something like that. I can remember my sisters and my mother back in the 50s where they were wearing such, not like that, but wearing fluffy dresses and stuff like that. I always thought that's a lot of material. But anyway, can
It's
imagine what those fashions must have been then.
it's
Maybe if
true.
our Oz behind the curtain wants to come up with a couple of pictures, but okay, let's go with a question.
Yeah. Well, we have a comment from Diane. After the corruption of our politicians, I don't think our people will ever trust politicians again in the US.
Well,
So,
okay, Diane, is it?
yes, Diane.
Okay. Diane, I lived through the Vietnam War. I almost went to fly jets in the U.S. And I could tell you every generation goes through a time like this. Try not to make blanket statements like that. I had a vision where the next election, independents will be coming up the middle. Independent people, like not Republicans, not Democrats, but independent. So that's who people are going to trust, the independent people that don't have blind loyalties to the higher up, shall we call it that. So it's fair to say that at this point in time it seems like everybody's deceiving the public. As I said earlier, the consequences are felt at the bottom. The policies are made at the top. The corruption in the U.S. is greater than at any time in my life that I could perceive. Uh, I'm not going to go into details on that. We'll leave everybody to agree or disagree. Arguably, I'm of the opinion that corruption is enormous. It is the same in other parts of the world. Wherever you have a strong man, you have corruption. The recent premier in Turkey was tossed after 16 years of being uh, elected in president of Turkey because the corruption in Turkey was so terrible that everybody got together and they voted him out. The man
Mhm.
was surprised that he didn't get reelected. But that's about the things about corruption and why difficulty comes about. It gets good people to do something. The only reason corruption and negativity and mistrust and deceit happen is because good people don't do something about it. I'm not taking
Yes.
that away, I'm not blaming. It's a philosophy. When the good people get annoyed enough or fed up enough, everybody does something about it. And the cowards, the corruptive, the self aggrandizement, the people that have taken advantage, you know what happens to them? They flee the
Well,
country, they run away. You don't need to take my word for it. You can see historically how people who have, in a traitorous way, I'll add, have corrupted the country to their own aggrandizement or wealth or for their family as well. And that's why societies stay muzzled and unable to grow because of the corruption. And of course, the corrupt people use the military and the police forces to sustain themselves, and those forces are corrupted. I was talking, or not talking, I was listening to that admiral that talked about making your bed. It was a famous speech. He was at West Point and he was a former Navy SEAL himself. And he was talking about, you know, the virtues of making your bed. When you have a really bad day, he said, you have one thing that you can look forward when you get home. You're going to have your bed's going to be made. That was a metaphor for a lot of things, but he was recently talking about the same subject. It's a very good question about the corruption. And the way out of this is for the military to have honor, for the politicians to have honor, see good people coming forward. And the people who are
Yes.
corrupt won't be able to bully or cause fear. They won't be able to employ the negative forces of military might. They will evaporate. 5 years from now, somebody said this tonight on the news, on CNN it was, 5 years from now, the people that are the biggest supporters of the current administration won't want anything to do with the administration. They'll deny that they were even part of the administration or the movement. That's
Mhm.
how the answer to this question, very good question, is the trust will swing backwards. The pendulum goes back and forth. It's right up here at as far to the negative side as possible, and it'll swing back within 5 years. And again, I've seen it myself. People who are gung ho for whatever, they'll just disappear. When we think about what was that famous, everybody was looking for that. Uh, Gee, I can't remember now. Maybe I'm not trying to remember. But what was it that we had? Everybody had flags going, and there was this. Uh, Geez, it'll come back to me again. I'm trying to be coy with it, but just a little while ago, there was this. There was this all over the place about this corruption that was taking place, and there was this secret society that were draining the blood out of babies, stuff like that. Do you remember Sybil? Maybe, or maybe Oz does.
No,
I could see the
I
flag.
don't.
It was everything. Oh, gosh. Okay, well, but we'll bring it back on the show. But people maybe are getting there out there screaming at me, it's blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
But that was just a couple of years ago. And there was this whole movement about, there was these dribbles and drabs about, almost had it on top of my head there, talking about this secret society that was kidnapping children and drinking the blood, making lectures. It was all over the
Mhm.
place. I wish I could remember it. I didn't intend to bring it up in the show, but the point was that you don't hear anything about that at all. It's gone. It's over
No, it goes silent. Yes.
because it was fake all the way along, but it was
True.
outrageous. There was a thing about the pizza store where apparently there's two little kitties in the basement, and that was Hillary Clinton was responsible. Are we
Mm,
getting close anywhere? I was hoping that Mlutin would have picked that up somewhere, but anyway. Okay, so
yes.
moving on. That was a good question.
Yeah.
Keep the faith. Remember, you can't give up. That's the answer to that question. You got to keep looking and look for the good people and then support them, or run for office yourself. Okay,
Yes.
next question.
Yeah. We have a question from This Too Shall Pass. I told others that I shower in the truth every morning. Does thinking that help with dealing with life's daily challenges?
Okay, give that to me again.
Um, this too shall pass said, I told others that I shower in the truth every morning. Does thinking that help with dealing with life's daily challenges?
I got mixed up when it said I tell others that I shower in the truth. Is that how it starts?
Yes.
Okay, well, there's no need to tell people what your bathing habits are. I can tell you that's uh, that's unnecessary. But to say I seek the truth, I'm grateful for my life, uh, I want to be aware of the truth. All those are good things, yes. Shower in the truth means I'm cleansing myself of all the negativity, perhaps. That's a good thing.
Hmm, it is. It is very good. Yeah, and we have another. We have a comment from Serge. Holy Spirit, holy, holy, holy blessings to all of you, and sending unconditional love, sending divine love, and sending love to you, our holy family and friends.
Well, isn't that nice? Thank you so much. We are very grateful for your blessings. That means a lot.
Yes. Oh, and actually, Douglas, the country with corruption for 16 years was Hungary, not Turkey, to my knowledge.
I'm sorry, I was thinking hungry and I said turkey because I'm still stuck on
Hmm.
the uh, the earthquake that happened there. Yes, it was Turkey.
Ah,
Yes, my friend Jack was just there yesterday, visiting Turkey and Mother Mary's home and places like that. Thank you to Oz for letting us know. Thank you for that. Maybe we
yes.
can come up with that whole group of people with the flags and whatever. And I want to say Palanon or something like that, but my old brain's
Hmm.
just a little rusty.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have, see, we have a comment from Jake about central bank digital currency or CBDC, that it's the mark of the beast.
Well, the barcode is the mark of the beast. When that first came out, it was in the 70s, the later 70s. Somebody wrote a book about it. And if you look at a barcode, it fits the description in the Bible that the mark of the beast will be on everything. And so it is. Any particular thing you look at it right now, it's got a barcode, including my books behind you there. They have barcodes on them. The outer line is the number six. It's a long one. The outer line on the other side is the six. It's a long one. And in the middle, there's two long lines. 666. And that's the barcode because it starts I'm going to call it the rambling of the number, and so you can read it. Of course, now we have something, these QR codes.
Mhm.
Wow,
Yes.
you could look in there. I'm sure you could see a face looking back at you from these QR codes. I'm making that up, folks. But imagination is one thing. But so it is the mark of the beast is on everything right now. People have had barcodes on their hand. If you go to places where you are going to a theater, they might put an invisible uh, uh, ultralight on your hand or something. Uh, it's I'm sure that babies they have a barcode for when they take their footprint, things like that at birth. It's everywhere. So the mark of the beast is the 666, and it's on everything. Is it a bad thing? No, because inventories and all kinds of good things happen. Is it a bad thing? Yes, because it's on everything. So I don't know. Is that helpful?
Well, there is farmers markets which produce does not have barcodes. So you can get items from family-owned businesses or farmers markets which don't have barcodes.
Yep, the kind of people that deal in good old fashioned cash.
Yes,
In some
yes,
places, they won't accept cash. Did you know that? You go to pay for something and say, no,
yes.
we need your credit card only. Oh my God. But anyway, the idea that central banks and other places that have currencies, digital currencies now, like Bitcoin and things like that, uh, it's getting harder and harder to deal with cash. I know somebody that recently went and tried to exchange some money. They had a hard
Mhm.
time. Uh, Myself, I did a similar thing with a bank. I had a foreign currency, and they wanted to know who, when, where, why I had this money.
Yes.
And I said, well, the shoebox that I had it stored in for 10 years was getting a little mousy, so I thought I would put the money in the bank. my mattress was getting lumpy. And I'm kidding about that, my friends, but we're in a cashless society, which was part of the mark of the beast and part of this barcode. But there were huge discussions about cashless society. I was attending a seminar and a businessman was stood up and he made the point. Jim Sinclair was his name, and he owned a mining company in Africa. And he stood up and he said, it wasn't too long ago where if I were to ask everybody in this room, there are like 500 people, if you were all take your wallets and empty them on a table in the center of the room, there would be a mountain of cash. And everybody went,
Wow.
yeah. And said, if I were to ask you to do that today, there wouldn't be almost any cash at all because we all have credit cards. That was an astounding point he made. It was a few years ago, 4 or 5, so, but it's how the society has changed, and that's why I've been preaching for years. Get silver coins, gold coins, precious stones, or semi-precious stones, jewelry, if you will, and keep it because that's the portable property, and that's the future of real real property. Because someday, said this before, the cloud is going to be locked up. Someday you won't have Wi-Fi. It's already happened in my area of the world where the banks ran out of Wi-Fi one day, as did the gas stations, variety stores, and a lot of other people. Nobody had any cash to buy anything like their lunch or to fill up their car, to buy necessities. And it took like 24 to 48 hours before the provider of the internet service came back online. So for 2 days, people were broke, even though they might have had several $100s in the bank. So again, I'm not kidding about having a little shoebox, more like a piggy bank. It's something where if you had cash, sorry, if you needed to, you could have ready cash. And that's just being wise. So long and short of it is, yeah, the barcode's on everything. Society is now income tax is all electronic. You can file your income tax in the morning. In the afternoon, you can get your refund back, or you can get the bad news back,
Yes.
depending on how prosperous you are.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another question.
Yeah, we have
QAnon.
oh,
QAnon. That's what I was thinking.
oh
Remember
yes.
QAnon? As I said, it
Okay.
comes back. That what happened to QAnon? I had people on my Global Village radio show screaming at me how real this was and how the police were not paying attention and the politicians were all corrupt. Think about this, my friends. Whatever happened to QAnon? Turns out it was a father and a son who invented this off in the Midwest, and the son slipped up one day and was talking to an FBI agent and admitted that he and his father would make up those coded messages and put them out on their computer. And the reason everybody accepted their computer was because QAnon said that they were going to use this father and son's computer. As I know the story, I could be wrong, that was their outlet for the messages from the secret of QAnon. It was one giant hoax.
Wow.
Think how far that went and how people can be so misguided or shall we, they could misled, I guess the word I'm looking for. QAnon, that was a phenomenon. I'm sure the history books are going to go back and they're going to say, back in the day,
Yes.
back at the time of the millennium, and there were these people believed this QAnon phenomenon. Anyway, a lot of money got made on that. People were selling T-shirts, flags, driving around with their pickup trucks, screaming at people that all these bad things were happening.
Yeah.
All
And
a
it,
hoax,
it
all
made headlines and yes.
daily, daily. And so that's just a lesson. I guess that goes back to the question that one of our wonderful viewers sent in, and that is how misled you can be. You have to be wise. The dark forces will continue to lead you down a path of darkness. And that darkness starts with concern. Then it becomes apprehension and fear. Then it becomes panic. And then it becomes worry and leads you into all sorts of other predicaments and situations where you, my friend, will do something bad or nasty because you feel it's the right thing to do to protect yourself. You will do violence because you think it's necessary to protect yourself, all based on hoax, false, deceiving. There are people out there in the world, they're in faraway countries, I'm not going to name them, that have groups of young technicians that are constantly on social media feeding you stories like QAnon. And when I get some of those messages, this is Inspector so and so, we're going to take you to the courthouse unless you send us your $300 income tax. Courthouse? We don't call that courthouse at my place. We call it going to court. So I know right away the person's from Africa or someplace faraway country trying to scam me. I saw a couple of come on my phone the other day. Buyer beware. Your parking ticket is overdue. Send us the money for it right away. The last time I got a parking ticket, I can't remember what century that was. Actually, more what decade it was. So be aware. I'm going to hold this up. This is your buddy. It's also your spy. It's also a gateway for good, bad, and ugly to come to you. This is what you have to use to control this. Your mind to control the cell phone. And even then, you can get taken advantage of because these are bad people that seduce you. They prey on your fears. You better pay or the income tax people are coming to get you. What? Here's a good line when somebody calls you on the phone and says, I'm calling from the income tax department. We want you to pay that $5,000 before sundown or else. You can say, well, just a minute. I'll let you talk to my brother, Sergeant Wilco from the New York Police Department. Click.
Yeah. And they're hoping that you believe that and that you're alone and you're not going to tell anybody and, get advice because they prey on those that don't have anybody else
This
and
is
believe it.
this is true. This is where the cookie crumbles. It's where
Yes.
those nasty people. I've heard stories, horror stories about people in the Far East having relatives taken captive and then being forced to make these calls to the West because their parents, children, relatives would be harmed. It's terrible,
It
but
is.
it's a fact of the world we live in. And when will it cease? Well, when it gets found out. It won't last forever. But in the meantime, this is your friend. Here's a tip. Turn it off at night. This is the simplest way to disconnect your phone from incoming stuff. Just turn it off and leave it off, and then turn it back on for a while. Apparently, it's the best security device step you can take. It shuts off all those, the cookies and attachments and whatever and programs running in the background. Okay, that's my technological advice. That's it. I don't know anything more about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a quick break and we'll be back with more of how the cookie crumbles tonight here on the Soul Report Live.
Are you ready for the future? A future filled with challenges, changes, and opportunities? Discover The New Earth by Douglas James Cottrell, PhD, a groundbreaking guide to understanding the evolution of our planet. Learn how to prepare yourself and your loved ones for the unpredictable. With insights from the Akashic Records and quantum meditation, this book offers precise predictions and practical advice. Explore how geographic areas will be affected and become a co-creator in shaping the new era of our planet. Over 370 pages of essential knowledge. Secure your ultimate guide to the future. Order the New Earth today.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back. Sybil and I are here to take your questions in the chat. Here's something where the cookie crumbles, a blessing. There is a blessing for endurance. And now, as we close tonight's show program or get close to the closing, let's take a moment to gather ourselves. When the world feels uncertain and the ground beneath us shifts, may you feel steadfast within. When pressures rise and answers seem unclear, your mind remains calm. May your mind continue to be clear and your heart remain strong. May you have the wisdom to manage what is yours to manage and the peace to release what is not. May you find strength not only in certainty, but in your ability to adapt. May your home be a place of support, your thoughts a source of clarity, and your actions guided by good sense and care. And when things do crumble, as they sometimes do, may you remember this, that you are not defined by what falls apart, but by how you rebuild. And may you rebuild with patience, with courage, and with hope. We have to have our 2 minutes from AI segment here, but let's have another question or two in the chat if there's one.
Well, we have a dream from Daniel. So Daniel said, I dreamed I visited Tucker Carlson. He was in a big room with a high ceiling. He entered with a lot of dogs, small ones, then 2 big Dobermans. I put my hand in the mouth of the biggest one. It stopped barking. They turned their backs to me, and their skin turned to blue feathers and rose up like a peacock. I went outside with him where he was working on the roof. It was made of gold-colored tile.
Well, that sort of is a synopsis of what's going on with Tucker. He's in the news today. Apparently, he is 180 degrees away from his belief of the administration, and he's being chastised for it. This particular dream sounds like Tucker's in a room with all his loyal friends. The dogs represents loyalty. Some of them are puppy dogs, which are followers. You know, if somebody's a puppy dog, they don't have their own will, right? They're just bobbing around. But 2 of them are very vicious dogs, Doberman Pinschers, guard dogs, if you will. But they make a transformation into peacocks. And so they become not vicious, but peacocks represent, I think, prosperity and beauty and wisdom, something really wonderful, as peacocks are used in religious organizations or services in different times in the world. And then Tucker's outside working on the roof, putting on a gold roof. So I would take that to mean that he's changing and he's putting on a whole new perspective. Maybe a little more protection is taking place in his life. But the gold color could also mean that he's now seen the light. He's on the roof. He's getting closer to God. And all his friends, the dogs that were around, they're not with him so much anymore. They're still left behind. So I'm taking that to mean that there's going to be a huge transition in Tucker's life and his work. Maybe he'll even end up being, who knows, a minister or something like that. But he's definitely changing his, in real life, his tune. He's finding great difficulty with the present administration. Matter of fact, he's outraged at how it is.
Yes.
Just a sec.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. And he's going through changes, and you get to see it online, which is actually very courageous and brave that you're able to see that transformation from a person.
And his followers are going to make that transformation as well.
Yes. No,
You have
it's
another
quite good.
question? Another comment?
Yeah, we have a comment from Micro. As a recovering addict with alcohol of 10 years, I can say this BS has been a real test. And that was his comment.
Okay, for that, absolutely. Uh, the idea is you did this yourself. You were guided from above. You were given help. People came to your aid. All those things, but you had the willpower to do so. You came to a certain point in your life where you turned around. You did that on your own. All alcoholics and addicts who fall prey into the substitution of the reality. There's so much pain. I'm not trying to say that this is his aspects, but they get into that point, and then it takes superhuman strength to stop being addicted. And for 10 years, congratulations. That take a lot of
Yes.
strength. And of course, as time goes on, you never quite get away from the temptation to go back. But I hope it gets easier. But I can say I admire you for your courage and your strength to do that. It does take a lot. And of course, it's worth it because the other way was leading you to a path of pain and suffering. This is leading you to the future, which is going to be full of light and understanding. Not easy, but at least you'll feel, as all people who accomplish these things, you'll feel accomplishment and you'll have pride in your life. I could see good things for this man this year.
Mm, wonderful.
Okay,
Yes.
let's get the advice from Amigo, as we only have a few more minutes left in the show. So everyone, this is I ask AI. I call it Amigo, my friend, for a contribution to the show. And this is what it comes up with. Some of these writings or comments, 2 minute wisdom, it says, is not actually 2 minutes, but it says it is, are somewhat profound. So tonight, in regard to where the cookie crumbles, friends, when the world becomes uncertain, people often look outward for stability. But true stability begins within. You cannot control global events, but you can control how you think, how you respond, how you manage your life. The mistake people make is trying to solve everything all at once. I'm guilty. But life is
Yes.
not lived that way. It is lived one decision at a time, one moment at a time, and one step at a time. Stay grounded, stay practical, stay calm. Because calm thinking leads to better choices, and better choices leads to better outcomes, even in uncertain times. You don't need to predict the future. You need to be ready for it. Well, that's tonight's advice from your amigo. There you
That is
go.
very good. Yes,
That's amazing.
it
So,
is.
any final comment? Anybody left in the chat that they'd like to pass on a couple of questions?
Yeah, we have a question from Josh. I have a question about dreams. I have never been able to remember any dreams of mine or recall any subjects I was dreaming about. Is there a reason for that? And is there a way to start remembering?
The answer is uh, it's not that you're not remembering them, you're not recalling them. Scientific evidence proves most everybody. There are some people that have granite heads that can't dream. We'll let them off the hook. But
Mhm.
everybody else dreams a minimum of 4 dreams a night.
Wow.
So you pray and say, High Self or Divine or God Almighty, please help me to remember my dreams. And then you don't wake up in the morning with an alarm clock. Turn your cell phone off so it doesn't wake you up. Open the window up and let the sunlight come in, and the light coming through the window will gently wake you up in the morning. And then, as soon as you open your eyes, don't move, don't run to the washroom, don't turn over. Think. What were you just thinking about? Rabbit holes, green grass. You'll get a fragment. And then, okay, also, you'll get a fragment. And then you write that down. This is the key, because you're telling your subconscious, I want to remember my dreams. And by writing it down, or uh, by using this thing and putting it in the notes, whatever, you're telling yourself, you're showing yourself, you're activating yourself to record your dream. Now, a fragment, a scene, a color, these are all good. They might not be an epic dream yet, but it starts you on the process of, before you open your eyes and move, you recall and go over in your mind what you were looking at, even if it's only a fragment. Then you immediately write down, maybe a piece of paper if necessary, that might be a better way, the fragment, the scene, something that will trigger back the dream itself. And if you can't see or perceive a dream, you take note of how you feel. I woke up feeling really comfortable. I was so happy. All right, that's it. That's your dream. You're feeling the emotion of the dream, because every dream has emotion, every memory has emotion, every thought has emotion. So you start recording the emotions, and then you start to recall incrementally more and more. So in review, try not to have a lot to eat at night, go to the washroom ahead of time, have a nice sound sleep, no TV, no computer, no lights, no warning, talking, anything. Dark as dark can be in your room. And when you wake up, let it be a gentle waking up like the sunlight. But if you have to have an alarm, that's fine. Make it low key and let it beep for a long time. But anyway, the point is not to have an alarm at first. And then when you wake up, keep your eyes closed, refresh what you were just thinking about or dreaming about, and then make an attempt to write it down. There's a window, and everybody knows that you've had a dream, wonderful, fantastic dream, and then you move, and then you can't remember it at all. It's not a fault, it's that the right and left hemispheres of the brain, there's a division. You dream from the right side, you think from the left side. That's why we write from left to right. Other cultures write from the right to left. I have a theory that the conscious mind thinks left to right, and the subconscious or super subconscious thinks right to left. And so there's a division. And when you wake up, if you don't bring that memory over that dividing line, it's gone. However, like I remembered QAnon, see, I can remember it with no problem now. I had a hard time dredging that up from wherever it was in the back of my memory. But now that it's at the forefront, I can remember it back and forth. It's the same with your dreams. Later on in the day, You might remember your dream. Write it, write it down. Don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about uh, getting all the details. Be broad in what you're saying. I was in the country. I saw grass. There was a rabbit hole. I saw a dragon. Okay, put it down. Figure it out later. I'll tell you a short dream to give you the point. In this dream vision, it was a vision because everything was black except for two men in a dream, myself and another man who was a little older than me. He was dressed in a business suit. He was sitting in a chair directly in front of me. I was sitting in a chair. He reached over and he gave me a bottle of Heinz ketchup. End of vision. What does that mean, Sybil?
Did that kind of stop the dream? I don't know.
I know.
Huh.
The answer is really simple, but was he giving me a blood transfusion? Was
Oh.
he telling me
Huh.
no, don't eat ketchup? What's the connection? He's in a business suit, sitting in front of me. I'm sitting opposite him, and he hands me the bottle of ketchup. What's that all about? Well, I went to see him because he was a man who interpreted his dreams, and he looked. I spent an hour driving to see him, and when I got there, he sat down. He said, "Don't you understand?" I said, "No, that's why I came to see you because I thought it was really important." He said, "Well, you are going to catch up to me."
Oh.
Oh, he's a successful
Wow.
businessman. I was going to catch up to him. So the idea that, a vision, a symbol has 1,000 words. When you see driving signs on the highway, you see a symbol, a car with two wiggly lines behind it. You immediately know that means that it's going to be slippery, or the car can slide on the road. No words, nothing, is a quick glance and you know what it means. That's how the symbols in your mind are given to you. Remember, if you're given a symbol in a dream, somewhere in your mind you know the answer because that's what's used to give you the dream. So this is a little bit of a dream workshop as we're going on here. But the point is, dark at night, no police scanners, no TV going on, no computer with stuff on, like lights and stories, no music playing, everything quiet. And in the morning, let the sunlight wake you up. Whatever's in your mind, write it down, or whatever you're thinking about, or whatever you feel, write it down. And eventually, you'll have an epic Cleopatra movie kind of dream where it'll go on and on and on and on. We'll talk about that some other time.
Well, Josh put a comment saying, "Thank you for the advice, Douglas. I will definitely try that out."
Don't try, Josh. Make the attempt.
Hmm.
You try, you fail. Attempt, you succeed. And it might take a little while to get it. But again, it's natural to dream.
Hmm.
Usually your mind is overactive. If you're a logical, analytical person, it's kind of hard to dream because you're more into the left side analytical part. If you're a creative person, artistic, it's a little easier to dream. But everybody dreams at least 4 times a month. And let me know how you make out. Call back on the next show and say, "Wow, I had a dream. The price of copper went to $5," or "I got those lottery numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Should I play them? Doesn't seem right." Yes, I would play them because that might happen. Anyway, your high self wants you to be successful. They want you to communicate between your low self, this human part of you, and the high spiritual self. They want to establish that connection, more exactly, reconnect, so that you're working with your soul and your high self all the time. And dreams are the way to do it. Dreams are your magic mirror. Dreams are the language of the soul. So I encourage everybody to do that. So we have time for one more question or so.
Um, Well, we have a question from This Too Shall Pass. I moved I moved in with a nice roommate who had a bad career, and then suddenly my career also took a turn for the worse. The moment I decided to move out, things suddenly improved, even before I physically did move out. Can a nice person be bad luck and affect you too?
It's not a nice person or a bad person, it's the thinking.
Hmm.
The person is thinking adverse thoughts, failure thoughts, poor me thoughts. You can pick that up. And yes, it can affect you, as you can see. That's why it takes a long time to know people. Intuitively, you can have feelings about people, and you're probably right. But the answer is yes, that's exactly right. As soon as your mind changes, you're not listening to the other person, which is probably what's happening here. Every day complain that that woe's me. I didn't do well. Blaming everybody else. I can't seem to get ahead. Those person has these thoughts, and so you, the nice person coming into a situation, all of a sudden you're the propaganda is taking place where you're hearing constant blaming all the time. One of the things people can do to not fail is to stop blaming. Step one. So as soon as the key was there, as soon as I changed my mind, then all of a sudden my life changed. Well, your mind changed because you changed your reaction to the environment. Make sense?
Yeah, and I guess it's important to surround yourself. Uh, it's important who you surround yourself with, I guess, too.
It's you just pick up a book on feng shui
Hmm.
and it'll tell you all
Okay.
kinds of things about what you should surround yourself with. One thing I know of is don't keep old pairs of shoes around the house. We get
Oh,
an old pair, we keep them because we feel
yeah.
loyal.
They're comfortable.
Yeah, we got a new
And
pair. Then maybe we have a new pair. Then we have a new pair. And we got
yes.
so one thing, and I had to think about this because I have extra pairs of shoes around that I liked. They were my friends, but that's the old way. You're not going to use them
Hmm.
anymore. So it's attachment to the past. So you have to let them go.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Wow.
I'll tell our friend who was dreaming about just popped in my mind as we were talking about discarding things on feng shui. Put 3 coins in your pillowcase or under your pillow, and that apparently feng shui, I think, I might have made it up myself, has a tendency to provoke dreaming. I should have remembered to tell him that.
Hmm.
However, like QAnon, see, I can talk about that all day long now because it's in the front of my head. I didn't remember until just now. So, okay, well,
Hmm.
listen, it's been a pleasure. I want everybody, please sincerely subscribe to our show. We're here on Monday nights, but we're thinking of moving the show to another night, but not just yet. So to keep in contact with us, please subscribe. And if you wouldn't mind, give us a check or an approval or uh, whatever, with a
The
heart or a bell. And
alike.
I like, there we go.
Yes.
As all those other social media have so much, I'm bewildered. We got to hear about it. My books are for sale at Douglas James Cottrell store.com or douglasjamescottrell.com. There's big sales planned to come up, but they're available now. A couple of them, the health book, I only have a very few left. But for now, please consider going to my website and supporting us. And again, helping us to spread the word on the Soul Report Live. We appreciate it. We're having fun here tonight. We hope you enjoy the show, my friends. We try to bring timely topics and help you find ways to cope. So, on behalf of Sybil and uh, we have the ghost behind the curtain tonight. Malutin is our co-producer. On behalf of myself and Jack Balick, who is not here tonight, let us come to an end of tonight's show of the Soul Report Live. And let us thank you for joining us, whether you're here with us live or in the chat or watching from YouTube or across social media. Your presence, your thoughts, and your questions are what makes this show so special. A big thank you to Sybil, my co-host tonight, for bringing her voice into the conversation, and of course to standing in for Oz behind the curtain, Malutin, keeping everything running so smoothly as always. Again, if you've enjoyed tonight's show, please subscribe and give us a like, and we would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to share the Soul Report Live with your friends and family. Let's continue to grow this community and bring these conversations to more wonderful people just like you. Until next time, I'm wishing you peace, prosperity, and clarity in all that you do. God bless, good luck, and good night.